days. I will tell you that I asked you all to submit questions to me, and there were a number of people who submitted questions. I then sat down with two, what I believe, wonderful people in this community, Jim Saltzman and Mary Margaret Friedman, and we met to come up with common themes. Those are the questions that you basically will hear for both races. Jim, Mary Margaret, myself, as I said, reviewed all the questions and wanted to make sure that we got the key themes in there, okay? Each candidate tonight will have a reasonable time to respond, and I told them that this is like the Three Bears. Not too long, not too short, but just right. So I let them know, and I get a little edgy, that it means to start bringing it to an end. So let's now begin our candidate forum, and I'd like to introduce Frank Abrasini.
Close enough.
Okay, and John Hollick. Let's give a round of applause for joining us today. Okay, so we'll start with you, Frank. First question deals with share with all of us your background and what you bring to the position of mayor of the city of Venice. Frank?
Okay. You know, if you think about it, what are the qualifications? What am I bringing to the table? And it's a personal preference. I'm not sure if you guys speak up, stand up. Oh, I can do that. Sorry, I'm used to being on a radio. You're always sitting down. So I'm going to give you my background, and you guys can tell me if you think these are the qualifications that you want. You'll vote yes for me in November, if not, John. Basically, I've been here since the early 80s. My parents came here. I was here when you could skateboard down Venice Avenue after 5 o'clock. It was basically closed off. I used to hang out at Casperson's. I graduated from Venice High School. I did all that great stuff. I went through the ceremony at the circus, ended up having it on the field. I went to MCC, it used to be MCC before SCF, and I lived above Ted Spring over on Seaboard, so I've been just about everywhere here in Venice and done just about everything. I met my wife about 31 years ago out around Golden Beach, and with that, I decided to continue my education. I went into the Navy, finished my college at University of Maryland. I was an airman in the Navy. And then we came back, we tried doing some stuff. We went through, I was in management with GT for a while, doing CLEC and wireless. And then I started my own company about 15 years ago, which brings me up to where I'm at now. It's basically a medical billing consulting company. We spent about a year in Italy because I wanted my kids to get some diversity. They were living in a bit of a bubble in the wealthy neighborhood we were in, so I wanted to bring them down to Calabria, Italy, which is a third world country essentially. The school windows are broken, graffiti everywhere, and they were in shock. So, but to me, it was an important experience for them. They spent about a year there, and then we came back. I said, you know, my mom's in Venice, my sisters, family, friends, let's go back there. And right about that time, I started what most people know me for is the Scoop. And I started doing the Scoop, and that's since exploded, and now I got the Sarasota, Inglewood, Northport International. I'm doing the radio stuff and all that good things. Most people know me for being active in the community. We were talking about, somebody emailed me today, and I think he emailed the server too, about the water pipes in the drainage. And so I went back searching emails because I wanted to put out the thread or the article. And it ends up back in 2011, we were discussing it and with the mayor. And so I've been pretty active ever since I've been here on issues like that, environmental issues, on development. When I'm one of the people that broke it out that Neil was planning on developing over by border. It was, I mean, people in government knew, but the residents really didn't know what it was all about. So I brought that to their attention. I went to the meetings, and Neil doesn't like me. So I'm very active in ensuring that we have a controllable, sustainable growth versus the growth that we've been seeing. I realize we're not going to be the Venice of old days. That's obvious, you got to grow. But I don't want to be the Riverwalk of Venice, or, you know, I don't want to be that next Riverwalk. And that's the one thing that I'm pushing out there. and then the budget. You know, I've always been management. I've never been a numbers guy. You know, I do my radio show, all that stuff. I talk about all these issues, but it's all talk. I'd like to see more control on the numbers. And I can hit the different aspects later on.
We'll talk about that.
And I think that's it. So it's up to you if I'm qualified or not. It depends on what you deem to be the qualifications.
Okay. John Holly? I'm going to ask you not, I appreciate it, but we just want to, as they did last night, and I know that they had great control of the people last night. If I do this well, I'll be there next time.
Well, thank you, Roger, and thank you all for coming out this evening. It's great to see you all again. And Frankie, thank you for your service to the country. That's
Thank you, John.
it's a wonderful thing. As far as qualifications for this position, I am completing my 6th year as mayor of Venice. I think a lot of folks know what the city was like 6 years ago and what it's like today. I think we've taken the city in the correct direction and plan on doing so for another 3 years. I've lived in Venice for 25 years now. My wife Pam is here this evening. We've been married for 41 years. Raised 3 children in Venice. 2 of them went to Venice High, 1 went to Pine View. 2 now live in Orlando and 1 lives in Northport. So I'm one of those very fortunate people that get to see my children and my grandchildren. Issues that are affecting Venice that I plan on working on very diligently the next 3 years. We have what I perceive to be a relatively serious problem in that we are a service-oriented community. We need the services of many people to satisfy the needs that we have, yet we don't have a place for those folks to live and to stay. I'm working with a group of people trying to find a suitable spot to build some type of more affordable housing, apartment-type buildings, so that the people that work for us, take care of us, have a place to stay. You all are aware of the Sarasota Memorial Hospital wanting to build out in the northeast side of town. It would be a shame if they moved out here and then we couldn't provide adequate space for their workers to live and to work and to play with the rest of us. Working on relocation of the post office. These are all strategic plans that the city, the council members came up with in an Envision Venice plan. To relocate the post office, the distribution portion of it, away from the mainstream of the island, but to leave the retail portion of the post office in Venice. It would take some of that traffic, that heavy truck traffic, away. So that's another area that I'm working on right now. I did put some brochures on the back table, and I know we have a limited time, and I don't want to go through an entire platform with you. They are on the brochure on the back table, and I'd suggest that you do grab one. I am very, very accessible down at City Hall. I think you can come in virtually any day and you'll see me there. I do have, excuse me, I do have an open door policy. You're more than welcome to come in, stop in and see us. We'll handle whatever question you have, and we'll try to get you an accurate answer.
Okay.
And I ask that you consider me also for another term in office. It would be the 3rd and final term. Many of the projects that we've started require a long time to get going. I think we finally got many of the backlogged projects completed, and we're now finally a very proactive council, and I'd like to have 3 more years to complete that.
Okay, John Stain, I'm going into the next theme called rapid fire. I'm going to bring up issues and like you to rapidly speak to them. And so we're going to do one at a time. Give the mic to him when you're finished.
Should I stand too?
No, when he gives you the mic. Fire department, future, is it dead or alive in terms of the consolidation? John?
The fire department, it's actually up to the people. Our only mission was to get the facts and figures so everybody could decide what they wanted to do, so that you would know the cost of the fire department if it stayed in its current operating environment, or the cost of the fire department if it did merge with Sarasota County. We would not, as a council, remove the fire department from the city of Venice. It would be something that you could base your own decision on, and it would be a referendum vote, but at least you'd have accurate facts and figures upon which to make that decision.
Frank? Fire department? Dead or alive?
In my mind right now, it's dead, obviously, because the council decided we're not gonna do it. I've never been for it for a couple reasons. One, nobody's ever told me if we're gonna get a break on our taxes. We're paying for these extra services. If it's going to the county, are we gonna get a break? And my understanding is we're not. The city's gonna keep that money. Then, what's gonna happen when the county takes it over? The county takes it over, are they gonna hit us with the tax? How much of the tax? And I realize it might be a savings to the city, but will it be a savings to the residents if we're paying the previous tax, so we're not getting our back in our pocket, and a new tax with the county? So I haven't had those answers. I don't like the idea of the chief. We have a chief now. He was temporary, they brought him on. I think my understanding is they have a position for everybody but the chief, so I'm not too happy about that. And then the other issue is just what are we gonna do with the inventory? I think that was a sticking point. The city, my understanding is the city wanted to keep the equipment, or they wanted the county to pay for the equipment, and the county didn't want to because there was some kind of savings. And obviously, I'm not there day to day. I do listen to all the council meetings, but I'm not in the fine tuning of it, so I may be missing something.
Okay. Stand up.
I get to stand.
Yeah. Hospitals, Venice, Sarasota, Memorial. Should we have both? Just one? What's the story? What's your position?
I've been advocating to have both. I'm not a fan of just going with the one. And if anybody reads my Scoop News, you're going to know that there's a lot of issues, a lot of complaints with Venice, okay? There's a lot of people that like them, but there's more complaints than anything. I think that's one of the issues. You're bringing in, 5,000 new homes or something like that? You're bringing in all these new people. What are you going to do with them when they're sick? I had a fire department guy last year write to Scoop, and he said, look, when somebody breaks their leg and the tourists are here and the hospital's full, we got to bring them to Northport. If John's mother is having a heart attack, it may take us an extra 30, 40 minutes to get there because we're driving to Northport over capacity issues. So I think I personally am for bringing Sarasota Memorial here. I'm for keeping Venice here, and obviously they may move out of the city depending on what they do.
John, same thing. Hospital?
We can make that pretty short, I guess. I am in favor of Sarasota Memorial coming into the area. I think it's, we are paying for it. Our tax dollars help support that hospital, and I think we need to get the benefit of our taxpayer dollars. If Venice Hospital wishes to stay, they will only do so if they can have a hospital that's on par with Sarasota Memorial. We deserve, as residents, we deserve the very best. And I believe that's what you're seeing now. I think Venice Regional has finally decided that it's going to take a new hospital. They can't rehab the old hospital. So whatever ends up happening, whether we have one or we have two, we're going to end up with a new hospital, a modern hospital, and a hospital that can serve the city of Venice to the best of its ability.
Okay, stand up, just stay there, John.
That's right.
Next on the rapid fire is current road and police bond issues, which will be on the ballot where you will see those.
All right, we'll take those real quick one at a time. On the road issue, it's an $18 million bond issue. Currently, we get tax dollars back from the motor fuel tax, and that's really supposed to be the money that we use to replace and repair roads. That comes out to about $330,000 a year. That's about enough to do one little strip of road, and definitely not enough to do the road that we have to get done in Venice. If you've been down Venice Avenue, you know what we're talking about. The road's really in pretty bad shape. What the $18 million issue does is it would allow us over about a 3 or 4 year period to do 70% of the roads within Venice, 70 miles of roads, and get them into the good shape that they should be in. In addition, I did lobby I know it's sometimes a bad word, but I did lobby Congress last year when I visited Washington and was able to get it was Tallahassee, our state representative, Julio Gonzalez, put a bill in on this 2017 budget, and the state of Florida will give us $1.4 million if we go forward with our bond issue. They'll give us $1.4 million this year, $4 million the year afterward. So we are working to get additional money, not just our own taxpayers' money, and we're also lobbying the state very strongly to adopt a new program that would permanently help us fund the roads.
Quickly, John.
Now we'll go into
to the to the police department.
Into the safety building. Our current building is too small. You've seen the reports of the leaking ceiling. That ceiling hasn't been leaking all that long, but it's a pretty serious leak this time. To have a building for our police department and our fire department to adequately service, and I think Matthew is a perfect example, we would have had to have all our police and fire leave the city during that hurricane, or be in buildings that were not properly built for strong hurricanes. So I think it's a tremendous issue. We would be able to take the old police building, move public works into it, have the police move into a new building. The cost differentiation between doing it all new and just rehabbing the existing police building, when you look at public works thrown in, it's very small cost differential. So I'm very much in favor of it.
Frankie, comment on both.
Okay, on the road referendum, there, Phil. On the road referendum, I'm for it. I think we need it. I'm too loud. Okay. So I'm going to go jump straight to the safety. I have concerns with it. If anybody follows me and reads the articles I've been writing, it's the fact that I kept asking. I see this 1360 million, whatever the number was. What would the cost be to expand and fix up the current one? It wasn't in there, and I kept asking why. And the next thing I know, there was a special meeting, and they said, the consultant, which I can't stand consultants, he came back and did a haphazard job, which isn't the first time a consultant's done that. And he didn't cover the expansion. They were under a timeline to rush it through. I personally would not have rushed it through because I don't have all the information. And the expansion, I believe, would cost about half of what they're asking for. Now, if you do get the referendum in, another good question is, I'm the one that brought to everyone's attention, WWSB and all those guys, about the rain and the leakage in the evidence room. And simple question, why don't we fix that? If Public Works needs to go in there, why aren't we in there fixing it instead of patching it? And right now, they're just looking at a patch, and I think someone said that, well, we don't have any plans. Yes, you do. You want Public Works in there, so no matter what, we're going to keep the building. Let's do that now. And then lastly is just the hurricane and everything else. My understanding is if we expand it, it's going to be fine for the hurricane standards and all the other standards that are out there. So it's up to you guys.
Okay, here's a question that someone submitted that is interesting. This is dealing with the old and new. We got many new residents coming. We're one of the largest on the northeast part of Venice. So Willow Chase is there, more and more coming. How do you balance between the needs of the island and us out here, way out in northeast Venice, the forgotten brother often?
Well, you guys do have an excellent councilman that looks out for all your needs. I can tell you that. Councilman Daniels is always out there whenever you guys have an issue. So you do have a great advocate on the council. I'm in Pine Brook. I have the same issue. I think it's too island-centric. Everybody's focused on the island, the 4 blocks there. And I think we need to look at the city as a whole. What do all the residents want as a whole? How do you balance it? I don't know. That's where I want that controlled, sustainable growth. You know, I think if there's rezoning, here's a good example. If there's rezoning and I buy a house 10 years ago, the zoning is X. Somebody comes in, a developer, and they say, well, I want to buy this land right next to this house, but I want to change that zoning so that I can build a condo. So I'm going to buy it, realizing what the zoning is. Then I'm going to go in, request it, and have it changed. And he gets his zoning, he gets his new 4-story condo. Why, meanwhile, the person that bought the house 10 years ago, thinking that the zoning wasn't going to change, is screwed. So I'm not a fan of that. I'm a fan if the developers come in and say, hey, this is the land, this is what's zoned, maybe minor change. There was a change over by Burger King just last week. The neighbors were all for it. It wasn't a bad idea. And so that was a good move for the rezoning.
Okay, John? What about us out here?
Yeah, I thought we resolved that about 6 years ago, but I guess not. Venice is a very unique community. It's a one of a kind really in Florida. And the downtown is a very important part of it. You're not going to find downtowns like that in too many places in Florida and too many places in the world. So if it's getting a little bit more attention, that's probably the reason. However, that doesn't mean we've neglected you folks out here. I hope it doesn't mean that. Our boards, our advisory boards, have a very high percentage of folks that live in the northeast part of Venice. Just a matter of fact, just appointed a person to the Parks and Rec Board that's from the northeast side of Venice. I've worked feverishly with Congress and got about this close to getting the name of North Venice changed to Venice, but that was stopped for the time being. So possibly, once we see that happen, we'll have a little bit more of that feeling of continuity. This is an extremely important section of our city. The knowledge that you folks have, one of my opponents from the last election is out here tonight, extremely knowledgeable man, and I rely on him, or have relied on him in the past when I've had some questions. So we're trying to not avoid this part of town, but at the same time, if you see that happening, please give us a call. Don't let it eat into you. We're here to serve everyone in the city.
Okay, last rapid fire question.
Oh yeah.
The last one is the T word. I got a lot of questions about taxes. Certainly, everybody normally in a community like this or the city, we want the best of everything. We want the best police department. We want the best roads. We want the best fire department. All of this. We know it costs something. And on the other hand, there's concern, especially those on fixed incomes, about the cost in taxes. How do you balance the needs of the city versus the concern and the overriding thing is, are you spending too much and are my taxes going up?
Okay, I think everyone knows by now that taxes did go up this year, and it wasn't kept a secret. We've tried for the last 4 years to find ways to fund some of the deficits that we've had within the city, and the largest one is the police and fire pension. We had 4 different avenues that we could explore to make up for that deficit. One was an MSTU, it's a Municipal Services Taxing Unit, to change the way that, make it more equitable between the way the county charges for the Sheriff's Department. If that would have happened, we would have saved about $1 million in taxes that could have been used to pay down the debt on the pension funds. A second way was the fire department merger. The figures that I have, and I am pretty much a numbers person, I think you almost have to be to understand the budget of the city. The merger of the fire department would have saved, in my estimation, about $1 mil to $1.25 mils on our taxes. That again could have used partially an offset to the budget. We could have used some of it to pay down the deficit that we have in the pension plans, and we could have used some of it to rebate back to our citizens. The third way would have been just for the pension would have been just to borrow the money to pay the whole thing off. That would have definitely increased what we pay. And the fourth way was the way that finally we won as a council because we couldn't get moving fast enough on the other issues. The fourth way was just to raise taxes, and we did it incrementally to try to resolve some of the shortfalls that we've had in the budget.
Hey, Frank, I think you understand the question.
Yeah, I understand.
Okay.
Okay. He is a numbers man, but I think the numbers are missing. Here's the problem, folks. They want to increase the taxes, that's fine. But then we got to ask ourselves, are you going through the budget? They said they went through the budget, but then why are we putting a trolley here that was designed to ease up parking that's turned into a tourist attraction? We're putting out what? It's $72,000 over 6 weeks, and then we're going to go forward with the 3-month programs, 3 to 4 months, so it's like $300,000. Is that someone that's really watching the budget? Are we out there and looking at the budget and saying, let's prioritize? Why are we putting a parking lot $675,000 south of the jetty versus repairing the Venice Fire Department? There's 3 buildings in dire need of repair. You need to prioritize, and I've been writing articles about that. The other thing is on the taxes. You got more than just that one tax, guys. You just had a waste fee increase. That's a tax. The property increase. My house just went up 16%. That's another tax. You got the 50 cents per 1,000. That's another tax. You got the road referendum, that's another tax. Now the public safety, if that goes through, that's another tax. A lot of taxes, but they're not managing it great. So it's great to be good with numbers, but are you really putting those numbers to work and that knowledge?
Okay, last one, and I got somebody to keep the time because I'm in a hurry. You only got 60 seconds. 60 seconds, and he'll let me know when the 60 seconds is up. So, why should we vote for you? No, this is the last question. I have a number behind my back. John, what is it?
4.
No, it's between 1 and 2.
Oh.
What a good teacher was I?
No.
1 or 2?
We'll do 1.
Okay, it's 2.
Okay.
Go.
What was the question?
Why should we vote for you in 60 seconds or less? I'm
Okay.
in a hurry.
All right, why should you vote for me? Because I want sustainable, controllable growth. I want to control the budget. I don't want to spend money on unnecessary things that we do not need so that I have to go out there and raise your taxes. Just for some new blood in there. Somebody that will work, has a great relationship, I think, with the county. I know many of the county commissioners. I know many of the people. Many of the residents. If you know me, you know I know a lot about the residents. I know a lot about, they brought up affordable housing. I put out an article basically asking, what's affordable? What's the definition? If this guy out here that they're considering tomorrow for Laurel gets his affordable housing through, is affordable housing $1,800 a month? Because that's not affordable to the average Venice resident. I know because they always ask me. They're like, hey, I have $800 a month. I need a house. I have 2 kids. I just got an email today, actually, that I just shared where a lady's getting kicked out of her house and her husband's a veteran. I deal with that daily. Are you going to go with the tiny house concept like Northport? I don't know. That gets me into Agenda 21. You guys don't want me to go into that conspiracy side, so that's it.
Time. Thank you. I'm going to be on the next debate. I got this under control. Holly. Mr. Holly.
I'm asking for your vote because I think that we have started some very good programs. We have an excellent council, and I think in the next 3 years you'll see some very great improvements to the city of Venice. Let's just look and see what you have as a city now that you didn't have before. And these are just from 2016. We're one of the 50 safest cities in Florida. We're number 3 on the list of happy cities in Florida. We're identified as one of the most affordable small sunny towns in the United States. We have the best towns to live in Florida in 2016. We're ranked in the 10 safest mid-sized cities in Florida. We're, according to TripAdvisor, 24 most affordable Florida West Coast beaches. We come in number 2. Southern Living says that we're the South's best place to retire, and we rank number 11 on the list of 15 best small towns in the city of Venice, Florida. That's just 2016, folks.
Thank you.
I know better than to mess with Roger.
Okay. We're going to finish this segment, but I wanted to introduce also some people who come who are part of our city council. Jeanette Gates is in the back, I think. Rich Katera, one of our residents. And Bob Daniels, recovering from a hip operation. When doing groups and crowds, I was taught a very, very important thing. Never have a segment longer than the average age of the audience. So we've been 33 minutes. So I'm going to have a 1 minute stand up, shake and bake, 7th inning stretch, not going to say, so that you can now have a moment to just get loose for a CDD. So that should take maybe 45 minutes, just to let you know. We've had to condense it a little bit. If you're